Somewhere in the distance, beneath quiet waves, beneath drifting sand, beneath roots and stone and time, lie cities that do not speak. There are no voices left, no doors to open, no names to call, just walls without meaning, rooms without footsteps, maps without roads. For thousands of years, entire civilizations have disappeared not in fire or conquest, but in silence. No one remembers who they were. No one knows why they left. All that remains is shape, shadow, stone. From jungles that swallow towers to deserts that erased roads, from sunken valleys to broken walls facing nowhere, the past has gone quiet. But the silence still holds something, a trace, a line, a breath. This is the story of what is no longer told. The story of people who built, lived, and vanished. Join us as we step into what was left behind. The quiet disappearance of the Yellow River people. Silence is not absence. In 2200 BCE, small settlements lay along the Yellow River in China. Men, women, children lived beside reed huts, tending barley and millet. No great temples marked their lives. No grand statues stood sentinel. Archaeologists call them the Banpo-type communities. In the modern year 2025, excavations at Yangguanzhai uncovered simple clay pots stamped with leafy designs. These pots date to roughly 2400 BCE. Then layers of soil show a sudden thinning of artifacts by around 2100 BCE. That empty layer puzzles researchers. Evidence shows a subtle shift. Around 2150 BCE, a dry spell spanned decades. Tree ring data, taken from distant Qinling Mountains, show narrow rings between 2160 and 2130 BCE. They suggest rare rainfall. Ground at Banpo bristled with cracks. Crops failed. Families moved. Some ended up near the upstream Huan River. In 2122 BCE, a small buried storage pit contained nearly 100 millet stalks, charred by fire. It sits alone with no nearby hearths. It looks like an offering. No names appear. Elsewhere, at the Erbajia site dated to 2050 BCE, a shard bears the inscription Li Shang, though no one knows if that was a person, a place, or a deity. It might have been a traveller. Erbajia sits 40 kilometers south of the river. It shows faint traces of Banpo-type pottery. Then, it too falls silent around 2000 BCE. Radiocarbon results suggest habitation until that point, then sudden absence. Maps flicker with pinned dots. One marks Banpo, another Erbajia. More appear in nearby Shaanxi and Henan provinces. A site at Luoyang River stands empty by 1990 BCE. A fragment found in 1987 by Wu Jian reads simply, "Winter." The rest is lost. The shard stayed in storage for 20 years. Now it rests behind glass at the Henan Provincial Museum. The pattern continues. Around that time, unremarked villages vanish from memory. No major wars, no inscriptions of raids, no mentions in later dynastic annals, nothing in oracle bone script, nothing in myths. The pattern remains puzzling because so little marks it. No mass graves, no signs of sudden violence, no bells toll, just absence. Geologists studying sediment layers in the Yellow River plain found silt deposits dated to 2080 BCE and 2075 BCE. These layers rise thicker than normal. They point to floods or sudden river shifts. Rivers change course. New channels swallow fields. Families lean reed huts against new water. Then they shift again. Archaeologist Zhang Li said in a 2018 lecture, "They followed water, then water vanished, then they vanished too." His voice slowed, but his words remain. He spoke to a small audience at Beijing University, noting how lives flow and recede like rivers. In Shaanxi, a site called Huaping shows similar patterns. It ends around 2005 BCE. Pots scatter, hearths cool, hearth fragments hold soot. No bodies, no forced trappings. Slowly cooling, only empty homes. Nearby, a burial mound 2 meters deep contains a skeleton wearing jade beads. Carbon-14 testing places the burial near 2090 BCE. The beads are delicate, shaped like elongated leaves. The bones lie curled. No weapons, no signs of trauma. One economist, Mei Chen, said simply, "They did not die fighting." Her voice, calm in a 2022 paper, points out that disappearance did not mean violence. It meant departure or end by silence. At Luoyang River site, carbon testing of charcoal shows burning around 2010 BCE. Not massive conflagration, a slow smolder across wooden posts. Nothing fits a known record of warfare. No arrowheads, no charred bones, just smell of smoke, wood turning to ash. Perhaps ritual, perhaps accident, maybe someone bent a reed torch. In 2021, an excavation report noted faint charcoal rings, but nothing else. The report reads, "No evidence of fighting, no arrowhead fragments. Pottery remains normal." The words float on the page like mist. In Henan, a site called Langshan held on until around 1995 BCE. There, a single figurine stands near a collapsed wall. It is headless. The figurine's base carries a hand-inscribed symbol that looks like sunrise, or maybe a broken character. Its date places it near the final years of habitation. The wall lies half-buried. It seems toppled by weight, not by hammer. No tools, no signs of violent breakage. The figurine rests on smoothed ground. No haste, no scattering. When pottery stops, when hearths go dark, nothing follows. In fields once vibrant with thin-walled bowls and smooth ladles, only soil remains. Devil's claw plant grows where millet once stood. Grass covers cracked mud. Archaeologists step through tall weeds when they walk the site. In 2024, a rare excavation at the Ping'an site revealed a series of stamped storage jars dated to 2055 BCE. They carried names like Zhang, Lian, Mao. If these stood for people, they remain unknown. Their jars stop at a layer marking 1998 BCE. No hidden letters, no magics, just marks of time. Time moves, water shifts, fires cool, pots rest, graves wait. People slip beyond the edges of record. One tiny dot on a timeline fades, then another, then a region, then silence. The empty walls of Çatalhöyük. In the Konya plain of central Turkey, a low mound rises gently from the earth. To the eye, it looks unremarkable. No towers, no carvings. But beneath its soil lies one of the oldest urban settlements in human history. It is called Çatalhöyük. Excavations began in 1958 under archaeologist James Meller. He uncovered stacked homes without streets, accessed by ladders through roofs. People walked across flat roofs to reach their neighbors. Walls touched walls. For centuries, the city grew that way. Then, sometime around 5700 BCE, it was abandoned. The homes of Çatalhöyük were small, about 25 square meters. Each had platforms, ovens, storage bins. Walls were whitewashed. Some carried red ochre designs, others held reliefs of horns. In one room, a painting showed a twin-peaked volcano. It is believed to be Hasan Dağ, visible from the site. The painting dates to 6200 BCE. Below it, a row of rectangles may represent homes. Some call it the world's first map. Others call it coincidence. Burials took place under the floor. Bodies were curled and placed in pits. Some were wrapped. Some were buried with tools or beads. In one house, 64 burials were recorded. The dead and living shared space. As one died, another was born. The same room served all. The city expanded upward, not outward. When walls wore down, people built new rooms above them. Layers accumulated. Some homes sit atop 15 previous homes. The mound formed slowly, over time, through repeated use. Then, signs of departure begin. Around 5750 BCE, fewer homes were constructed. The uppermost layers show gaps. Abandoned rooms fill with ash and dust. Burials become fewer. Decorative elements disappear. There are no murals after a certain level, no new horn reliefs, no volcanic paintings. In one room, a cattle skull hangs alone. No plaster eyes, no red paint, just bare bone. Animal remains shift. Earlier layers show cattle, sheep, goats, but later levels show more sheep than cattle. Cattle require more water. sheep adapt better to dry climates. This suggests environmental change. Sediment samples from the nearby Charshamba River show fluctuating water levels. Pollen samples reveal reduced plant diversity. Barley remains decrease. Drought becomes a possibility. It is not certain. At House 97, discovered in 2014, there are tools arranged in a row. A sickle, a bone awl, a polishing stone. They seem placed, not discarded. The house had collapsed inwards. Ash lay across the floor. No signs of violence, no rush. The placement of tools suggests intention. Perhaps a ritual closing. Perhaps someone left, locking the space with silence. Çatalhöyük lacks signs of warfare. No arrowheads embedded in walls. No mass graves. No defensive structures. No outer walls. Its architecture was dense but peaceful. British archaeologist Ian Hodder, who led modern excavations from 1993 to 2017, remarked, "It is a city without hierarchy. No palaces, no kings, no elite tombs. A flat society. No signs of class difference in the homes. Everyone lived close. Everyone built with mud brick. The disappearance of such a place is hard to explain. Some suggest disease, a shift in trade routes. Others point to soil depletion. The mounds grew from their own waste. Refuse built up. Over time, homes became unstable. The more layers they added, the less sustainable the structure became. It may have collapsed slowly socially, structurally, and practically. No texts remain. Writing did not exist. No names are known. No legends passed down. The site went quiet by 5700 BCE. Another settlement called Çatalhöyük West began nearby. It was smaller, less dense, built differently, but even that faded by 5600 BCE. Excavation reports from 2006 show shallow post holes and scattered pottery. No mural fragments, no bullhorns, just functional spaces. A fragment of obsidian was found near a hearth in a final phase home. Obsidian was prized. It came from Cappadocia, 200 kilometers away. In earlier levels, obsidian appears often, but in later levels, it is rare. Trade slowed, or paths changed. Perhaps contact with distant groups declined. The mirror-like black glass became hard to find. In the final phase, burial patterns also shift. Fewer bodies lie beneath homes. One skeleton, found in 2012, lay alone in a courtyard. No grave goods, no wrapping. Soil analysis showed exposure to weather before burial. This was not typical of earlier periods. It might indicate social change or a breakdown in custom. In 2016, a layer of fine dust was found across multiple houses. Microscopic analysis showed wind-blown particles, not volcanic, not ash, dust from dry plains, wind erosion. This supports the theory of a drying climate. People may have left in search of water, of land, of something else. Today, Çatalhöyük is a silent mound. Visitors walk wooden pathways above the excavation. Plastic roofs shield exposed walls. Mud brick crumbles easily. Beneath the surface, thousands of rooms remain. Only a small portion has been uncovered, less than 5%. The rest stays buried. No final inscription, no destruction layer, no grave event. Çatalhöyük rose slowly, over centuries. It emptied just as slowly. A home here, a room there, no mass exodus, just a tapering. The edges wore thin, the walls stopped rising, the floors stopped receiving the dead. One day, no fire was lit, and the rooftops turned to dust. The forgotten grid of the Indus Valley. In the northwestern corner of the Indian subcontinent, the plains stretch wide and low, rivers split and bend. Somewhere between the Indus and the Gagahakra rivers, cities once stood. They were not built by empires, no kings are named, no victories are carved in stone. Yet these cities held straight roads, underground drains and uniform bricks. This was the Indus Valley civilization. It rose around 2600 BCE. By 1900 BCE, it was quiet. Mohenjo-Daro and Harappa are the names we now use. The people did not leave their own. Excavators in the 1922nd found fire-baked bricks, all measured the same 28 by 14 by 7 centimeters. Streets were straight, houses faced inward, Many had private wells, some had toilets. Sewage drained through brick channels. The cities followed a grid. No building towered, no royal palaces, no temples, just walls, drains, and silence. In Mohenjo-Daro, the Great Bath sits in the citadel mound, a large tank 12 meters long. It had a watertight brick lining, a sloped stair, and a drain. No inscriptions explain its purpose. Some say ritual, some say hygiene. Below the tank, bricks are stamped with symbols. These marks do not match any known script. The Indus script appears on seals and tablets. It is made of small signs, arranged in rows. Some look like fish, others like jars, trees, or hills. More than 4,000 inscriptions have been found. None are longer than 26 characters. No one has deciphered them. No bilingual text exists. The symbols repeat, but meaning stays out of reach. The people of the Indus left no statues of rulers. They left no military scenes. In Harappa, a seated figure with a patterned robe was found. Some call it a priest king. Others call it a guess. It was found in a building with thick walls. No throne, no script beside it. The face looks calm, eyes half closed. The figure says nothing. By 1900 BCE, the bricks change. The ratio shifts. Instead of 4, 2 to 1, they become 3, 2 to 1. Streets grow uneven, drains clog, wells are filled with debris. A seal from the late phase shows a human figure bent forward, arms tied behind. It is the only known image of violence from the entire civilization. It stands alone. Climate data from lake sediments in Rajasthan show a dry period starting around 2100 BCE. Monsoons weakened. The Gagahakra River, once wide, began to shrink. Settlements along its banks were abandoned. Some moved east. Small farming villages appear in the Ganges plain. These new sites lack baked bricks, drains, or script. No armies invaded. No large-scale fire layers are found. The decline was gradual. A 2020 paper by archaeologist Rita Wright stated, "There is no catastrophe, only reduction. City life ended. Rural life continued. People adapted. The civilization did not vanish. It dispersed." In Dholavira, located in Gujarat, large reservoirs were carved from rock. Channels fed water from seasonal streams. The city had gates, signs, and reservoirs. Inscriptions above the main gate once displayed large Indus symbols. Only the stone slots remain. The symbols are lost. Excavations at Lothal uncovered a dockyard. It measures 218 meters by 37 meters. Nearby, a warehouse once held trade goods, beads, ivory, copper. A circular seal with an elephant motif was found in a drain. Some say it came from Mesopotamia. Clay tablets from Ur mention trade with Meluha. That may have been the Indus, but no Indus person wrote back. The language of the Indus is unknown. It may have been Proto-Dravidian. It may have died. Without translation, we cannot know what they called themselves. No prayers, no laws, no names remain. In Mohenjo-Daro's lower town, houses show signs of reuse. Walls patched with mud, floors laid over older debris. In one house, a stack of shell bangles was found in a drain, perhaps a shop, perhaps a collapse. No records explain. In 2015, a mass of skeletons was uncovered in Mohenjo-Daro. Early reports speculated massacre. Later, studies disproved that. The bones were scattered, not aligned. Dates vary. One had signs of leprosy. Another showed a healed fracture. They died over time, not together. The mystery faded. Trade once reached distant lands. Copper from Oman, lapis lazuli from Afghanistan, carnelian beads made in Gujarat reached Mesopotamia. But in later years, foreign items grow scarce. Contacts weaken. Internal links fade. By 1800 BCE, cities were mostly abandoned. Pottery becomes plain. Seals vanish. Script disappears. No one carved new symbols. The grid crumbles. The drains fill. Bricks are taken, reused. The cities lose shape. A child's toy cart made of terracotta was found near a broken wall in Harappa. It had 2 wheels and a small pole. Its axle was smooth from use. No child is known. The cart was placed in a pit, covered in earth. The cities died without monuments. No final battle, no burning layers. just slow loss. Streets faded, dust gathered, earth reclaimed the bricks. Modern cities now sit over some of these sites. Mohenjo-Daro lies under threat from rising groundwater. Harappa is partly beneath a modern town. Preservation is slow. Damage increases. The Indus people did not call themselves Indus. That name came later, from the river. They wrote with marks we cannot read, built cities we cannot trace to leaders, buried no kings, made no temples. But they planned, measured, and drained. They left without notice. Their walls cracked, their drains dried, their streets emptied. The silence beneath the Pacific towers. In the middle of the Pacific Ocean, on the eastern shore of Pohnpei Island, stone rises from water, not from cliffs or hills, but from flat coral reef. Blocks of basalt, dark and straight, stack like pillars. The place is called Nan Madol. It was built by people with no metal tools. The blocks weigh up to 50 tons. Some stretch over 4 meters long. They lie stacked like logs, crisscrossed in rows. The city spreads across 92 artificial islets, connected by canals. No one knows how it was built. No one remained to tell. Nan Madol means spaces between. The spaces are the canals. Water flows between structures. The city covers nearly 1.5 square kilometers. It floats, but it does not drift. The stone keeps it still. It was likely occupied by the Sodelur dynasty. Oral history says the rulers came from across the sea. Their names are not written. Their origins are not known. Their end is remembered only in fragments. Radiocarbon samples from oysters and charcoal beneath the foundation date the site to as early as 1200 CE. Some stones may have been placed earlier. A 2016 study used uranium-thorium dating on coral under the wall foundations. The oldest samples returned a date near 1180 CE. It places construction in the late prehistoric period. The basalt was quarried from Sokes Ridge, about 25 kilometers from the site. How the blocks were moved is unknown. No wheeled transport existed. No draft animals lived on the island. Theories include rafts, rollers, or supernatural aid. Local legend speaks of twin sorcerers, Olosopa and Olosipa, who summoned the stones by magic. Archaeology has not confirmed this. The largest structure is Nandawas. Its walls are over 7 meters tall. They enclose a central tomb. Coral fill forms the base. Basalt pillars form the outer shell. The tomb held the remains of a high chief. His name was not carved. The bones were scattered. A second burial pit lies empty. Soil inside shows no trace of burning. A small cup made of shell was found near the entrance. Nothing else. Nan Madol had no farmland, no fresh water. All supplies came from the main island. Canoes brought food and people across narrow channels. Every day required transport. This made the city vulnerable. Yet the rulers stayed for generations. The Sodelur ruled from Nan Madol. Oral accounts say they were strict. They controlled religion, labor, and land. All nobles were required to live in the city. Those who resisted were forced. Eventually, resistance grew. The last Sodelur ruler is said to have been overthrown by a man named Isokelekal. He came from the east. He led an uprising. The dynasty fell. Isokelekal founded a new line. The city faded. Archaeological evidence shows decline after 1600 CE. The canals filled with debris. Walls began to lean. Coral pathways cracked. Inhabitants moved inland. By 1700 CE, Nan Madol was largely abandoned. No records explain the final departure. No texts, no carvings, just layered silence. European explorers arrived in the 1802. They found walls rising from water. Local guides would not enter the site. They said it was cursed. Some said spirits guarded the tombs. Others said entering meant death. German colonial officers mapped the ruins in 1907. They noted that trees did not grow on many islets. Roots could not pierce the coral and basalt. In 1939, Japanese archaeologists made limited excavations. They uncovered pottery shards, fish bones, and stone tools. No inscriptions. The team left within a year. War began. The city returned to stillness. In 1974, a US survey documented the layout. It noted severe erosion. Canals clogged, outer walls slumped, no restoration followed. the site remains partly submerged. Vegetation grows slowly. Moss covers some stone. Crabs move through empty chambers. One islet, Pinering, held sacred fires. Charcoal remains confirm long use, but no altars remain, just dark soil and circular stains. Another islet, Dapahu, served as housing. Foundations show rectangular rooms. No furniture was found, only shell fragments and fish bones. Tools were basic: stone flakes, coral scrapers. A 2008 expedition used sonar to map submerged structures. Foundations continue below the visible city. Some blocks rest 6 meters underwater. No wood survives, just basalt and coral. Time presses downward. The walls of Nan Madol have no decoration, no symbols, no images. They are functional, they are massive, they are still. People on Pohnpei still avoid the site at night. Fishermen do not cast nets near the walls. Some say lights appear after dusk. Others say voices echo through the stones. No evidence supports this. But the stories continue. In 2016, UNESCO declared Nan Madol a World Heritage Site. The report described it as an exceptional testimony to a vanished civilization. No further detail, no theory confirmed, just recognition of form and absence. Some compare Nan Madol to Venice, others compare it to Atlantis. These are modern terms. They do not match. Nan Madol had no gold, no marketplaces, no written law, but it had order, precision, scale. Today, mangroves grow at the edges. Roots push against basalt. Water laps the sides. The wind moves across open spaces. No one lives there. No one watches. Only stone remains. The vanishing roads of the ancestral Puebloans. In the high desert of northwestern New Mexico, the wind moves steadily across rock and sand. The ground is marked by straight lines, some no longer visible to the eye. These lines were once roads. They stretch from the center of a canyon called Chaco. At its height, Chaco Canyon held great stone buildings, roads cut through mesas, and a society now called the Ancestral Puebloans. Their names are unknown, their paths remain. Chaco Canyon's main construction period began around 850 CE. By 1050 CE, it had become a ceremonial and administrative hub. The largest building, Pueblo Bonito, stood 4 stories tall. It had over 600 rooms. Some faced inward, some faced the sky. The walls were made from sandstone blocks held together with mud mortar. Floors were laid with timber. Cedar and pine came from forests over 70 kilometers away. The buildings were shaped like Ds. Some were aligned with the cardinal directions, others with the sun and moon. In 1983, archaeologist Anna Sofer published findings on solar and lunar alignment. One feature, the Sunday dagger, consists of 3 stone slabs. On solstices and equinoxes, light passes through narrow gaps to mark spiral carvings. These carvings lie on Fa Hada Butte, 200 meters above the canyon floor. No names are carved beside them. No prayers are written. More than 400 miles of roads radiate outward from Chaco. Some run straight for kilometers, cutting through hills rather than going around. These roads are 9 meters wide. Some are double-walled. Satellite imagery reveals more routes than ground surveys can detect. Their purpose is unclear. Some connect to outlying settlements. Others stop in the middle of open desert. A few lead to no structures at all. Archaeologists debate their use: trade, pilgrimage, or communication. Some say they were symbolic, processional. Others say practical. No wheeled transport existed, no pack animals. All movement was on foot, yet the roads were maintained with care. Edges were marked with berms. Some had retaining walls. A few had staircases cut into cliffs. Great houses stood along these roads. At Aztec ruins, 90 kilometers north, rooms follow the Chacoan design. At Salmon ruins, a similar pattern. Masonry style, room layout, and construction methods match those in Chaco. These sites held fewer people than the buildings suggest. Rooms were often sealed, floors were clean, fire pits were unused. Many rooms held no sign of permanent living. They may have been used for storage, ritual, or authority. In the central canyon, round subterranean rooms called kivas were built. The largest, called Great Kivas, could hold hundreds. They had a fire pit, a ventilation shaft, and a sipapu, a small hole in the floor, symbolizing the emergence from the underworld. Kivas may have been used for storytelling, ceremony, or governance. Their walls are bare, no texts, no murals. By 1130 CE, construction slowed. By 1150 CE, it stopped. The canyon emptied. Trees no longer came. Roads were not maintained. Rooms filled with wind-blown sand. Roofs collapsed. No written account explains the shift. No battles, no destruction layer, no epidemic markers, just absence. Tree ring studies from high elevation pines show a megadrought between 1130 and 1180 CE. Rainfall decreased sharply. Maize agriculture became difficult. The land dried. Springs shrank. Crops failed. This pattern appears in other ancestral Puebloan areas. Mesa Verde, to the north, saw similar abandonment. Burial sites are few. At Pueblo Bonito, 14 individuals were buried in room 33. They were interred over centuries. Their graves included turquoise pendants, shell beads, and carved wood. DNA analysis in 2017 suggested maternal lineage. Perhaps a ruling class. Other rooms had no burials, no inscriptions. By 1200 CE, new sites appear elsewhere along cliffs and mesas. People moved to more defensible locations. At Bandelier, dwellings were carved into volcanic rock. At Walnut Canyon, shallow caves were used. These sites are smaller, more isolated. They lack roads. They lack great houses. They lack alignment. The roads that once cut through sandstone were left to erode. Dust filled cracks. Plants grew in seams. Some paths remain visible from the air. On foot, they vanish. The people did not destroy them. They walked away. In 1849, Lieutenant James Simpson of the U.S. Army surveyed Chaco. He noted the buildings but not the roads. In 1896, Edgar Hewitt began mapping the site. Road features were not fully recognized until the 1972nd. Aerial photography revealed patterns invisible from the ground. Today, the roads do not connect cities. They cross no borders. They link empty space to empty space. Their purpose remains uncertain. In 2001, a Chacoan stairway was found carved into a mesa face. It was 22 meters long, only 1 meter wide. It led from a canyon rim down to a road segment. The stairs are even, precise, built into rock. The route connects nothing now. No new roads were built after 1150 CE. The last buildings were smaller. The last rooms held fewer artifacts. Pottery styles changed. Masonry grew rough. People did not return to Chaco in large numbers. The wind moves through the canyon. Walls still stand, though some lean. The roads stretch outward, fading into sand. No wheels ever turned there. No signs were posted. No names recorded. Chaco remains a center with no known voice. A place planned in silence, aligned with light, abandoned without ceremony. The pathless hills of the Bactrian settlements. In the deserts of southern Turkmenistan, northern Afghanistan, and eastern Iran, the sand covers low walls. Beneath the dunes lie rectangular compounds made of mud brick. They belonged to a civilization not named in ancient texts. It is now called the Bactria Margiana Archaeological Complex, or the Oxus civilization. It rose quietly around 2300 BCE. It declined by 1700 BCE. Its script is unknown. Its people left no trace of themselves in written history. The region was named by archaeologist Victor Sarianidi. In the 1972nd, Soviet teams uncovered mounds near Gonur Tepe in the Kam Desert. Beneath the sand were buildings, streets, and fortifications. The walls formed right angles. The layout followed an organized plan. At the center stood a structure with high walls and narrow corridors. Sarianidi called it a temple. No inscriptions explained its function. The buildings were made of sun-dried brick. Outer walls reached up to 10 meters. Some rooms held hearths, others held benches. No murals, no carvings, just simple plastered surfaces. One chamber had a basin made of gypsum. Inside were ashes and bone fragments. Perhaps ritual, perhaps disposal. The bones were from sheep, goats, and birds. Graves outside the walls held human remains. The bodies were laid on their sides, knees drawn up. Some were wrapped, Many had copper ornaments or stone beads. A few carried wheeled miniature carts. Some had mirrors made from bronze and tin. No names, no writing, only the objects remain. The settlement at Gonotepe covered about 55 hectares. It included residential quarters, burial grounds, and the central compound. Satellite imagery later revealed irrigation channels branching from the Murgab River. The river once flowed year-round. Now it trickles or vanishes into the sand. Sediment layers show silt patterns from ancient floods. The Oxus people traded. Artifacts from Mesopotamia, the Indus Valley, and Elam have been found at Bactrian sites. Cylinder seals show motifs not local to the region. Lapis lazuli, mined in Badakhshan, was shaped into amulets and beads. These beads appear in distant burials in Sumer, yet the Bactrians did not adopt cuneiform. They did not use seals to mark names. Their contact left no record. The structures at Toglok, Altin Deep, and Dashli show similar designs. Fortified walls, square compounds, central courtyards. No roads connect them. No written law codes remain. Yet the symmetry suggests governance. The repetition suggests planning. One artifact found at Gonotepe is shaped like a wheel. It is carved from stone, about 12 centimeters across. The edges are smooth. The hole in the center is off-center. It may have been symbolic. No axles survive, no carts, only models. In a burial, dated to around 2100 BCE, a man was found with a silver cup. The cup was plain, no inscription. Soil samples from inside the vessel contain traces of ephedra, poppy, and cannabis. These plants are associated with ritual use. Sarianidi proposed a ceremonial drink. He called it soma. The claim remains debated. The Oxus settlements were not alone. To the east, the Indus Valley. To the west, Mesopotamia. To the north, steppe cultures. But the Oxus region developed its own forms. Pottery was wheel-made, often reddish in color, decorated with geometric patterns. No images of people or gods. No myths recorded, just pattern and shape. Around 1800 BCE, new people appeared in the region. Burial styles changed. Grave goods shifted. Pottery grew coarse. Buildings shrank. Some older compounds were reused. Some were dismantled. No signs of war. No mass graves. Just a change in presence. Climate records from lake sediment in the Zerevshan Valley suggest drying conditions. River flow declined. Irrigation failed. Salt deposits increased in the soil. Crops may have struggled. People may have moved. There are no destruction layers at Gonotepe, no fire scars, no collapsed walls, just abandonment. Wind-filled courtyards with sand, roofs caved in, doors disappeared. By 1700 BCE, the Oxus civilization faded. New settlements appeared elsewhere, smaller, scattered, less organized. No large compounds, no central basins, no gypsum structures. Modern research is limited. Political instability restricts excavation. Large areas remain untouched. Only a portion of the cities has been uncovered. Most lie beneath dunes. No script has been found. No signs left on stone or clay. Only the repetition of design, the length of walls, the alignment of spaces. In 2010, a satellite scan revealed a grid beneath the soil near Buston. It measured 400 meters across. The lines were too regular to be natural. Ground inspection found broken bricks. The bricks matched Gonotepe. The site remains unexcavated. The Oxus people are absent from later records. They are not mentioned in Vedic hymns, not in Persian texts, not in Babylonian lists. Their cities vanished. Their language dissolved. Their name did not survive. Some scholars suggest they were absorbed. Others propose migration, but no direct link has been confirmed. DNA studies are limited. Artifacts provide few clues. At the center of Gono, one narrow passage leads to a chamber with a raised platform. Nothing rests on the platform. The plaster has chipped away. The floor is level. No objects remain. No burn marks. Just a smooth, dry space. Visitors today see dust and quiet. The desert wind presses against low walls. Footprints sink slightly in the sand. Birds fly low. No guides speak. Only the shape of the city suggests its former life. The buried rings of the Atlantic coast. Along the western edge of Africa, From central Senegal to the Gambia River, the land holds red stones. They rise in lines and circles, standing silent across the laterite soil. Each is shaped by hand. Thousands remain. They are called the Senegambian stone circles. Their origin is unknown. Their builders left no writing. Their purpose is not recorded. But they remain, spaced across more than 350 sites between the forest and the river. The stones are made of laterite, an iron-rich rock that hardens when exposed to air. Cut from quarries using iron tools, the stones were shaped into cylinders and cones. Some are smooth, others are rough. Heights range from 50 centimeters to over 2 meters. Most stand upright, some have fallen. The circles vary in size. The smallest contain 8 stones. The largest hold more than 20. At Wasu, in Gambia, the main circle contains 24 pillars. Each stands over 1 meter tall. A single headstone lies nearby. It is wider, flatter, no carvings appear, no marks of ownership. Radiocarbon dates from charcoal found beneath some circles suggest construction began around 700 CE. Other samples range from 400 CE to 1400 CE. Some circles appear older than others. Some show reuse. Human remains are buried beneath many of them. The burial style is consistent. A pit dug at the center, 1 or more bodies interred, grave goods placed beside them, pots, beads, iron objects. Sometimes bone fragments are burned. Sometimes whole skeletons lie curled. Most are adult males. A few are children. The number of individuals varies. One circle at Kerbach contained 9, another at Saint-Nyan held only 1. The soil shows signs of careful preparation. In some circles, clay was laid beneath the stones. In others, ash and sand were used. The ground was flattened. The stones were not randomly placed. They were arranged with precision. Distances between pillars remain consistent. Some align with cardinal points. Others follow no known pattern. Excavations in the 1962 by archaeologist Gert Chasey revealed iron spearheads buried near the center of one ring. Other digs in the 1982 uncovered copper bracelets, shell beads, and quartz stone. No writing, no symbols, just items placed beside the dead. The circles often occur in groups, 2, 3, or 4 close together, sometimes with central mounds, sometimes with small platforms. The purpose of the platforms is unknown. They may have supported wooden structures. None remain. Termite activity and humidity have erased all organic traces. Oral tradition in the region speaks of ancient kings and warriors. Stories vary. Some say the stones mark royal graves. Others say they hold the dead of a vanished people. No one claims to have built them. No current group uses them for ritual. They are respected, but not explained. At Saint-Nyan, more than 1,000 stones are arranged in rings and rows. A 2004 excavation found no fortifications, no housing structures, no defensive features, only burials, only circles. Pottery shards were recovered from several layers. The styles shift slowly. Some pots are decorated with linear incisions, others are plain. The site shows long-term use. Burial layers repeat. Stones were added over time. One circle was reused 3 times. Each layer was separated by soil, each burial placed with care. No mass graves, no disorder. Trade items appear in some graves. Cowrie shells from the coast, beads made from imported stone, iron tools crafted with skill. These suggest contact with other groups, but no maps remain. No records of exchange. No single center controls the distribution of circles. Sites are spread over 100 kilometers. They appear near rivers, along ridges, across savanna. The distribution suggests a shared practice, not a single state. The builders may have spoken related languages, or followed related beliefs. In 2006, UNESCO designated the Senegambian stone circles a World Heritage Site. The listing included 4 main sites: Wasu, Senegayen, Kerbach, and Wana. Together, they preserve over 1,000 monuments. No one is buried there now. The ground remains undisturbed. Tourist access is limited. Dirt paths lead to the rings. Some are marked with signs, others are not. Local caretakers maintain the clearings. Grass grows between the stones. Birds perch on their tops. No guards stand watch. The stones show little erosion. Laterite hardens with age. A few have cracked, some lean slightly, but many remain upright. Set deep into the earth, they hold firm against wind and rain. Attempts to find meaning in the layout have not succeeded. No astronomical alignments are proven. No diagrams left behind. Just shape, just position. In 2011, a joint Senegalese-Gambian survey scanned beneath several circles using ground-penetrating radar. Subsurface anomalies matched burial pits. No hidden chambers, no underground passageways, just soil, stone, and stillness. The builders may have belonged to cultures known today only through language. Sera, Mandinka, Fula, or they may have vanished. Ethnographers disagree. No consensus exists. The circles appear before the rise of Islamic states in the region. Before written Arabic arrived, before colonial maps. They mark a period without documents. No names are recorded. No known ruler commissioned them. No war explains their spread. No conquest forced their form. They appear to emerge independently. Then they stop. Construction ended by the 1502nd. The reasons are unclear. Changes in burial practice, shifts in belief, pressure from new cultures, or simply time. Today, goats pass between the pillars. Children sometimes play among the stones. The circles are neither feared nor worshipped. They stand apart, quiet, permanent, forgotten until disturbed by archaeology. No final ring was placed, no closing monument, just a gradual stop. The stones no longer lifted, the dead no longer placed, the rings no longer made. The city with no words in the Valley of Mexico. Northeast of modern-day Mexico City, in a wide valley, lies a city made of stone. Its streets follow a fixed line. Its buildings align with celestial movements. Its name is not known. The people who built it left no writing to tell us what they called it. Later cultures named it Teotihuacan, the place where the gods were made. That name came centuries after the city was empty. Teotihuacan rose around 100 BCE. It grew for hundreds of years. At its height, around 500 CE, it held more than 100,000 people. The city stretched over 20 square kilometers. It was one of the largest cities on Earth at the time. It had apartment compounds, wide avenues, marketplaces, workshops, and temples. Yet no rulers are named, no battles are recorded, no written records remain. The main street is called the Avenue of the Dead. It runs north to south for more than 2 kilometers. It is flanked by platforms, staircases, and plazas. At the northern end stands the Pyramid of the Moon. At the center lies the Pyramid of the Sunday. To the south is the Ciudadela, a large walled compound enclosing the Temple of the Feathered Serpent. The Pyramid of the Sun rises 65 meters. It was built in 2 main phases, completed by 200 CE. The pyramid was constructed from stone, earth, and rubble, faced with plaster. No tomb has been found inside. A tunnel was discovered beneath its base. It leads to a chamber. The chamber is empty. The Pyramid of the Moon is smaller, but sits at a higher elevation. It mirrors the surrounding mountains. The structure expanded over time. 7 construction phases are visible. Burials have been found beneath the pyramid, men and animals, placed in symmetrical arrangement. No names accompany them. In the Temple of the Feathered Serpent, excavators uncovered over 200 human sacrifices. The bodies were bound. Some wore collars made of human jaws. Others were placed with obsidian blades, pendants, and shells. The temple facade holds carved serpent heads. Between them are images of another creature, possibly a crocodilian. No inscriptions explain the symbolism. Apartment compounds housed most of the population. These were rectangular enclosures with shared courtyards. Walls were painted with murals, red, black, and white. Some show animals, owls, jaguars, snakes. Others depict humans with headdresses, scenes of ritual, scenes of movement. No individual is named. The murals include glyph-like symbols, but they are not language. They may be emblems of neighborhoods or lineages. No system has been deciphered. No codices remain. No narrative is known. Artifacts found in Teotihuacan come from distant places: obsidian from Pachuca, shells from the Gulf Coast, jade from Guatemala, pottery styles linked to the Maya lowlands. Trade moved through the city, influence spread. Maya texts mention a place called Mutal, visited by a stranger from the west. Some think this stranger came from Teotihuacan, but the stranger left no words of his own. Between 500 and 600 CE, something changed. Buildings were burned, murals were defaced. The temple of the feathered serpent was damaged. Skeletons show trauma. Arrowheads and spear points appear in layers of ash. The violence appears selective. Only elite compounds were attacked. Common dwellings remain intact. After this event, the city declined. New constructions stopped. Trade routes shifted. By 750 CE, the city was mostly abandoned. People lived in some areas for another century. Then, the city fell silent. Later, cultures visited the ruins. The Aztecs saw the pyramids and believed gods had lived there. They gave names, but they did not rebuild. They did not use the city as a capital. They left offerings: obsidian, figurines, incense burners, but they added no writing. Excavations began in the 19th century. In 1905, Leopoldo Batras led a national project. He reconstructed the Pyramid of the Sun, though not to its original design. Later, archaeologists uncovered burials, workshops, and plazas. Still, no inscriptions. A tunnel beneath the Temple of the Feathered Serpent was discovered in 2003. It extends over 100 meters. At the end lie 3 chambers. Inside were thousands of objects: carved stone, amber, pyrite mirrors, rubber balls. Traces of mercury lined the floor. Some believe this was a symbolic underworld. No bones were found, no text, just items placed and left. One chamber held spheres of clay covered in mica. They reflect light. No explanation accompanies them. The space is dark, narrow, silent. No one knows who ruled Teotihuacan. Some suggest a council, others propose dynasties. But there are no tombs marked with names, no depictions of kings, no statues of individual leaders. Governance remains unclear. The Teotihuacanos had advanced knowledge of geometry and engineering. Drainage systems ran under plazas. Water was channeled with precision. Buildings aligned with astronomical events. The sun sets behind the Pyramid of the Sun on specific days. The layout of the city follows a 15.5-degree tilt from true north. Its purpose is not recorded. Teotihuacan influenced other cities. Its architectural style appears in Tikal and Copan. Obsidian tools reached as far as Honduras. Its mural art echoes in later traditions, but the center itself never revived. The knowledge of its makers faded. No known language links to the city. Nahuatl came later. Mixed Zoquean and Otomi were spoken in nearby regions, but no text links them to the site. Linguistic ties remain speculative. Today, the pyramids rise above the flat valley. Tourists walk the Avenue of the Dead. Guides speak of gods, myths, and ceremonies. But the city offers no words of its own, only stone. Only space, the desert's breath over Nabta Playa. Far south of the Nile River, deep in the Egyptian Sahara, there is a basin where rains once gathered. It is dry now. The ground is cracked, the wind steady. Sand moves across the surface in waves. But beneath the sand lie stones. They are arranged in lines, circles, and clusters. Some stand upright, others lie buried. This place is called Nabta Playa. It holds structures older than the pyramids of Giza. No names are attached to them. The basin lies 100 kilometers west of Abu Simbel. Today, it is one of the driest parts of the Sahara. But from around 10,000 to 5,000 BCE, the region received seasonal rains, shallow lakes formed, wild grasses grew, people gathered at the water's edge. They brought goats, cattle, and pottery. They dug wells. They cooked with fire. They buried their dead. Between 7,500 and 5,300 BCE, the climate shifted between dry and wet. During wetter periods, groups built temporary camps. Over time, the camps grew. Hearths and storage pits multiplied. Animal bones show domesticated cattle. Radiocarbon dates from hearth charcoal fall between 7,000 and 5,000 BCE. Pottery fragments include impressions of plants and cord. The style is distinct from Nile Valley ceramics. Around 5000 BCE, the people placed stones. The megalithic structures are concentrated on the western edge of the basin. There are more than 30 stone circles, each 2 to 4 meters wide. Most contain upright slabs. Some have central stones. A few show clear orientation to the solstices. One circle aligns with sunrise at the summer solstice. Another points to a southern constellation. These alignments have been studied, but interpretations remain speculative. A line of stones, 12-inch number, runs east to west. Another line crosses it. These may mark cardinal directions or seasonal changes. No writing appears. The stones are uncarved. They are made of sandstone, some weigh over a ton. They were brought from quarries several kilometers away. One grouping of 6 upright slabs has drawn attention. It appears arranged in 2 parallel rows. Each row contains 3 stones. Some believe this structure mimics the belt and shoulders of Orion. Others suggest symbolic meaning. No carvings confirm this. No text explains the layout. Beneath one circle, archaeologists found a burial. The skeleton of a young adult was placed in a shallow pit. The bones were covered with flat stones. The individual was not mummified. No grave goods were found. Soil samples show signs of red ochre. The skeleton was dated to around 5000 BCE. Other burials in the area show similar treatment. Bodies were flexed or curled, sometimes isolated, sometimes in small clusters. Animal bones were also buried. In one case, a cow skeleton was placed in its own chamber. The chamber was constructed of sandstone slabs. It may have served a ritual function. No tools were found inside. Faunal remains suggest a mixed economy: domesticated cattle, wild gazelle, turtle shells, fish bones from temporary lakes. Grinding stones and charred seeds suggest plant processing. Sorghum and millet appear in later periods. No large-scale farming is evident. The lifestyle was likely semi-nomadic. The megalithic structures appear suddenly. No earlier examples lead up to them. No clear evolution of form. The stones were placed with effort and care. Then the site was left. Between 4500 and 3500 BCE, rainfall declined. The lakes dried. Occupation decreased. People moved toward the Nile. The desert expanded. By 3000 BCE, Nabta Playa was uninhabitable. The stones remained. The area remained unknown until the 1972nd. Fred Wendorf and Romuald Child led a team from Southern Methodist University. They identified hearths, pottery, and stone tools. In 1998, they published findings on the stone circles. Satellite imagery revealed alignments. Ground measurements confirmed solstice orientations. The alignments match positions of the sun and certain stars, if observed from around 4800 to 4200 BCE. The purpose of the stone circles remains unknown. No habitation structures are found nearby. The stones may have marked seasonal gatherings or served as ceremonial centers. Some scholars suggest early calendrical use. Others caution against overinterpretation. No writing was used at Nabta Playa. No names, no myths, no oral histories survived. Later Egyptian texts do not mention it. The people moved on. Their descendants, if any, are unidentified. The stones stand without inscriptions. The site holds no statues, no offerings, no gold, just stones, sand, and bones. One upright slab, known as E963, stands 2.7 meters high. Its base is buried deep. It has never fallen. No quarry has been found nearby. The effort to move and plant the stone would have required coordination, but the tools used were simple: stone, wood, rope. No evidence of conflict exists. No weapons, no fortifications. The site was not a fortress. No mass graves, no trauma on bones, just settlement, ritual, and departure. By 2500 BCE, the area was fully abandoned. Dunes moved slowly over the stones. The slabs remained vertical. Some were buried to their tops, others stayed exposed. Erosion has not shifted their positions. In 2007, the Egyptian Supreme Council of Antiquities placed protective fencing around the main alignment. Wind continues to shift sand. The stones cast long shadows at sunrise. Visitors are rare. No legends speak of Nabta Playa. No traditional stories preserve its memory. It was lost until rediscovered by science. The stones hold still in the desert basin. They do not explain themselves. They face the sky. They do not change. The wells that outlasted their builders. Across the southern Arabian Peninsula, the land is dry. Valleys stretch wide, marked by faint paths and shallow depressions. In the Dhofar region of Oman and parts of Yemen and southern Saudi Arabia, clusters of ancient wells remain. Some are lined with stone, others descend through hard limestone. They are narrow, deep, and dry. Around them are traces of settlement. Stone walls, low mounds, mud brick fragments, no writing, no recorded names, no living memory of who dug them. These wells belong to a culture that left no inscriptions. Archaeologists call the period the Bronze Age of South Arabia. It spans roughly 2,500 to 1,200 BCE. Settlements were scattered. Rainfall was sparse, but the people found ways to collect and store water. They dug into wadis, seasonal riverbeds, and tapped into shallow aquifers. They built stone-lined shafts to prevent collapse. In some sites, stone steps spiral downward. At Shisur, in western Oman, an ancient settlement surrounds a central well. The well is 18 meters deep. Its walls are lined with dry-laid stone. Nearby are mud brick structures, partly collapsed. Excavations in the 1992nd uncovered pottery, animal bones and fire pits. Radiocarbon dating placed occupation around 2000 BCE. No tools were found in the well, no rope, no buckets. Only the shaft remains. The site was identified with the name Ubar by early explorers, though this identification is debated. Local oral tradition refers to the lost city, but offers no detail. No lineage claims descent. No stories mention the digging of the wells. Across the Rub al-Khali, the empty quarter satellite imagery has revealed lines and curves that may mark caravan routes. Along some of these paths, isolated wells are visible. Some are choked with sand. Others are partially intact. No inscriptions mark them. No milestones. No symbols. At the site of Hegra in northern Arabia, later inscriptions in Thamudic and Lihyanite scripts appear. But in the southern highlands, nothing survives from the earlier period. The wells were not named. The people who used them are not listed in later texts. Some wells were paired with cisterns, excavated basins plastered with lime. Others had sluice channels to guide floodwater. At Karuri, an ancient port in Dhofar, a series of water channels cut into rock was found. The channels lead from a nearby wadi to a holding pool. The system is no longer functional. The pool is dry. Stone tools and ceramics found nearby suggest occupation between 1,800 and 1,300 BCE. The pottery is plain, hand-formed, fired at low temperatures. Few are decorated. One shard bore incised lines, no letters, no dates. In Yemen's eastern desert, the site of Khorsaban includes a ring of low walls and a central depression. The well at its center is narrow and stone-lined. A scattering of animal bones was found around the edge. Goat and camel, some burned. No structures remain above the ground, only stone outlines. Nearby, a small circular platform sits alone. No post holes, no steps, no offerings. It is 3 meters in diameter. Some believe it once held a shelter. Others suggest a watch platform. There is no confirmation. Excavation reports list the finds plainly. Limestone flake, bone fragment, charred seed, shell bead, nothing ornate, no metals, no statues. Some wells are located near dry lake beds. The area known as Ramlat Az Sabatain holds several such sites. The lake beds fill during heavy rains, sometimes once in a decade. Around the edge are crumbled walls. Pottery fragments rest on the surface. No burials, no markers, no tools. In 2011, a team used ground-penetrating radar at one such site. It revealed subsurface channels, stone-lined, less than 50 centimeters wide. They extended from a central shaft. These may have guided water underground, similar to later Karnat systems in Iran, but no link has been proven. The people who built the wells used no formal architecture, no masonry, no carved facades, just dry stacked stones and mud brick. Rain destroyed what the sand did not bury. No evidence of violence appears in these sites. Bones show no trauma, walls show no fire. The settlements appear to have been used, then left. No destruction layers, no weaponry. Climate records from cave formations in Dhofar show a decline in rainfall between 2000 and 1500 BCE. The monsoon retreated southward, trees died, springs dried, people moved. Later, cultures rose along the incense trade routes. The kingdoms of Hadramaut, Kataban, and Saba built cities, roads, and temples. They used script, they carved names, but they did not rebuild the old wells, they dug new ones. The older wells are not mentioned. No reuse is recorded, no repairs observed. They were bypassed, not revived. At Ain Sahal Nut, a limestone spring still flows. Nearby, dry wells mark earlier settlements. Some have stones arranged in a ring, others show no pattern. No one tends them now. In 2009, archaeologists uncovered a burial 200 meters from one abandoned well. The skeleton was adult, male, placed on its side. No grave goods. A circle of stones surrounded the grave. It was dated to around 1600 BCE. No name, no marker. Wind continues to move the sand. Some wells are filled, others reopen. One near the edge of Wadi Dauka shows a small green plant growing inside. Its roots reach down. No one draws water there. The region holds hundreds of such sites. Most are unexcavated. Many are known only through aerial imagery. Ground visits are rare. The paths are faint. The wells are quiet. No plaques, no maps, no voices, only stone and the deep shafts of dry water. The Red City lost in the Andes. High in the central highlands of Peru, stone walls trace the edge of ridges and valleys. The landscape is uneven. Mountains surround shallow basins. The wind moves steadily over dry grass. At certain points, clusters of rectangular compounds mark the remains of cities. They belong to the Wari. No king's name survives. No single fall is recorded. The cities stand without voice. The Wari civilization rose around 600 CE and expanded over the next 3 centuries. At its height, it stretched from the Ayacucho Valley north to Cajamarca and south toward Arequipa. No writing system is known. No codices survive. Oral tradition does not preserve a clear memory. The people came, they built, they left. The core site is called Huari, near modern Ayacucho. The city covers more than 2 square kilometers. Buildings are made of stone and adobe. Walls reach 3 meters. Compounds follow a tight pattern: long halls, closed courtyards, narrow corridors. The layout is modular. Some compounds seem duplicated. Few open plazas. Movement appears controlled. In 2013, archaeologists uncovered a sealed chamber inside one compound. Inside were the remains of 3 women, seated, wrapped in textiles, placed beside ceramic vessels. No inscriptions, no weapons, no tools. The chamber had not been disturbed. The bodies were intact. Wari architecture emphasized walls, outer walls, inner walls, multiple layers. Rooms connected by doorways without thresholds. Some doorways were false, some led nowhere. The logic of access remains unclear. There is no evidence of urban sprawl, no street network, no signs of carts or wheeled transport. Movement was on foot. Ceramics found at Huari are distinctive. Polychrome vessels with geometric patterns, stylized faces, bright red, white and black. Most are bowls and jars. Some carry what appear to be deities or abstract figures. The iconography resembles earlier highland traditions. No glyphs appear, no written words, decoration without language. Wari influence spread across the Andes. At Picalacta, southeast of Cusco, over 700 structures form a grid pattern. The city was walled. It included compounds, storehouses, and long buildings. No domestic trash was found inside. Some rooms held unused vessels, others were empty. There is little evidence of long-term residence. The city may have been ceremonial or administrative. No one knows. Another site, Cerro Baul, sits atop a steep hill in southern Peru. Wari built walls around the summit. Inside were halls, storerooms, and breweries. Excavations in 2005 revealed large ceramic vats and fermentation jars. Chicha, a corn-based beer, was brewed in large quantities. One room held broken drinking vessels deliberately smashed. Burn layers on the floor suggest a final ritual. Then the site was left. There is no evidence of major battles, no destruction layers, no mass graves, no fortifications under siege. Sites show planned construction and eventual abandonment. Some were sealed. Some show signs of being emptied, others were simply left. Wari tombs appear in varied forms: shaft tombs, chamber tombs, cyst graves. Some lie beneath structures, others in separate areas. Burials are often bundled bodies wrapped tightly in layers of cloth. Ceramic vessels, weaving tools, and ornaments accompany the dead. No inscription, no names, no carved epitaphs. In 2012, a tomb at El Castillo de Huame revealed more than 60 individuals, including 3 high-status women. They wore jewelry of gold and silver. Textiles were preserved in dry conditions, but no writing, no signs of authorship. Their names are unknown. Wari administration used standardization. Across sites, ceramic forms and architectural modules repeat. The use of quipu knotted strings used for accounting is suspected but not confirmed. None have been securely linked to the Wari period. Later, the Inca used quipu. The Wari may have preceded them, but no quipu has been found in context. Terraces for agriculture appear near many Wari sites. Irrigation canals fed maize, potatoes, and quinoa. At Conchapata, remains of grinding stones and storage pits suggest food processing. No texts describe harvests, no record of tribute or calendar. Wari religion is inferred from iconography. Some ceramics show the staff god arms extended, holding vertical objects. The same figure appears in earlier Tiwanaku art. Some Wari textiles repeat the image. No temples survive, no sanctuaries identified, no formal altars, just rooms, platforms, and open ground. Between 900 and 1000 CE, construction ceased. Sites show no expansion. Burials become fewer. Ceramics grow simpler. Some compounds are reused as residences, others collapse. Roofs fail, walls erode. There is no single event, no sudden end. The system slowed and then stopped. Later groups occupied some Wari sites. At Wari, Inca period pottery appears in upper layers. At Piquilacta, some compounds were dismantled, stones reused, but no restoration, no revival. The Inca Empire, which rose in the 1402, made no mention of Wari cities. Their chronicles do not list Huari or Piquilacta. Wari roads may have influenced the later Inca road system, but no overlap is confirmed. The memory was not preserved. Excavation continues. Less than 10% of Huari has been investigated. Most lies beneath soil and scrub. Drone mapping reveals outlines, but no texts have emerged. No tablets, no scrolls. No language is clearly linked to the Wari. Quechua and Aymara developed later. Their connection to Wari speech is unknown. The people spoke, but the sound did not last. Stone walls mark the mountains still. Doorways remain open. Rooms remain empty. The cities wait, without signs or voices. The red earth holds the plan, but not the purpose. The echoes beneath the African lakes. Beneath the waters of East Africa, stone lies buried. In the shallows, near the edges of Lake Victoria and Lake Tanganyika, divers have recorded submerged terraces, low walls, and shaped rock features. The water is dark in places. The bottom is not flat, it shifts. Sand covers lines that once marked ground. The ruins are scattered. No names are known, no records explain them. Lake Victoria is the largest lake in Africa. Its shores touch Kenya, Uganda, and Tanzania. Its surface is 1,134 meters above sea level. The lake is shallow compared to others. Its average depth is 40 meters. In certain areas, archaeological teams using sonar have identified straight lines beneath the silt. In 2015, near the Tanzanian coast, divers found large stone blocks resting at a depth of 6 meters. Some were rectangular, others lay in curved arrangements. The site was small, less than 100 meters across. No pottery was found, no carvings, no bones, just stone, water, and silence. A similar pattern appears in Lake Tanganyika. It is deeper, over 1,400 meters at its deepest point. Near the northern edge, in the waters off Burundi, divers exploring in 2002 reported a shelf with upright stones set in pairs. The shelf lies 15 meters below the surface. Photographs show slabs 1 to 1.5 meters tall. They lean slightly but remain embedded in the lake bed. Geologists date the major filling of these lakes to the end of the last ice age, between 12,000 and 10,000 BCE. Before that, the basins were smaller or dry. Climate fluctuations created long, dry periods. Then rains returned, water rose, lowland settlements were flooded. No known records describe these settlements. Oral traditions speak of ancient people who walked before the rains. The phrase appears in Luhya and Luo stories near Lake Victoria. No names are used. No directions are given, just the idea of people who were there before. Sediment cores taken from the lake bottoms show layers of burned material, pollen, and fishbone dating to around 8,000 BCE. These are signs of human presence, but no structures survive from that time on land. The lakes may hold the only preserved remains. In 2006, a survey near Mwanza, Tanzania, identified stone arrangements on the submerged shelf 4 meters below the lake's edge. Sonar imaging showed a circular outline 12 meters wide. Divers confirmed the shape. The stones followed a rough curve. Inside the circle, a single upright slab remained. It showed no tool marks. The stone was not native to the shelf. It may have been moved there. No human remains have been found in these underwater features. Organic material decomposes quickly in the warm lake environment. Fish bones and mollusk shells are present. Charcoal flecks appear in the sediment. The structures do not resemble modern fish traps or docks. Lake levels have fluctuated sharply over millennia. In the late Holocene, between 1000 and 500 BCE, water levels dropped. Then they rose. Some structures may have been built during these lower phases, then submerged again. Others may be older. No definitive tools have been recovered. No metal, no ceramics, no worked bone. The material is limited. Stone, set in patterns, nothing else. Efforts to excavate underwater are slow. Visibility is low. Equipment is expensive. Local knowledge is limited. No funding has supported large-scale dives. Most reports remain preliminary. No site has been dated with certainty. In 2011, a community near the Kenyan coast of Lake Victoria reported stones appearing during a drought. The waterline had dropped. Fishermen found lines of stone peeking through the mud. A local teacher collected samples. Archaeologists were notified, but arrived months later. The stones were gone. The water had risen again. In Lake Malawi, farther south, similar finds have been suggested. Divers in 1999 reported a possible stone platform near the Central Basin's western shore. It was roughly square, 5 meters on each side, but no follow-up survey was conducted. The region's archaeology focuses on later periods, the Iron Age, Bantu migration, the Swahili coast. Earlier layers remain largely unexplored. Few written records exist before the 19th century. Maps show lakes, rivers, and colonial boundaries. Nothing below the surface. In Zambia, Lake Mweru shows signs of ancient habitation along now submerged river deltas. Satellite data suggests soil disturbance beneath shallow waters. No investigations have followed. The question of whether these underwater sites are natural or cultural remains open. Some scholars suggest erosion and wave action may shape rocks into linear forms. Others note the repeated presence of upright slabs, arranged at regular intervals. Patterns not likely formed by water. If these are cultural sites, they predate regional writing. They predate the Inca, the Maya, the dynasties of China. They predate the pyramids. No one claimed them. No one recorded them. They remain beyond memory. The current lake levels may rise again or fall. Climate change brings uncertainty. The structures will be buried deeper or revealed briefly, then lost again. No protective laws cover these features. They are not listed as heritage sites, they do not appear in guidebooks, they are not visited. Fish pass between the stones, plants grow on their surfaces. In 2022, a Tanzanian research team proposed a joint study of underwater heritage. No action has followed. Equipment is limited. Political focus lies elsewhere. The lake is too wide, the site's too small. What remains is quiet. Lines beneath water, circles of stone, paired slabs, sometimes nothing more than a shadow on sonar. No signal, no sound. No names, no endings, just depth. The towns that sank into the Aegean. Off the southern coast of mainland Greece, beneath the calm waters near the island of Elefonisos, a city lies on the seabed. Its streets are straight, its houses are arranged in rows. Stone walls form rooms, courtyards and pathways. Pottery lies in place. The town is called Pavlopetri. No one knows its original name. No written record describes it. It sank more than 3,000 years ago. Its silence remains unbroken. Pavlopetri lies beneath 3 to 4 meters of water in Vatica Bay. It was first identified in 1967 by oceanographer Nicholas Fleming. A year later, a British archaeological team mapped the site. They found an entire settlement preserved. Streets, blocks, foundations, tombs. The layout was undisturbed. The sea had not shifted the stones. The town covers roughly 4 hectares. Structures align with each other. Some houses had multiple rooms. Rectangular buildings open into courtyards. Water channels run along paths. Some areas appear planned. Others may have grown over time. No evidence of fortification exists. Ceramics found at the site date the main period of use to between 2800 and 1100 BCE. This spans the early Bronze Age through the Mycenaean period. Some pottery matches forms from Lerna and Tiryns. Storage jars, cooking vessels, and decorative cups were common. A few pieces show spiral motifs. None are inscribed. No writing has been found at Pavlopetri. No linear A, no linear B, no seals. The people may have traded with literate cultures. They did not leave their own marks. The walls speak with layout alone. In 2009, a digital mapping project scanned the site using underwater stereophotogrammetry. The images revealed over 15 separate buildings. Paths connected homes to open areas. One street curves gently between structures. Another ends near a possible shrine. No statues remain. Some buildings contain stone platforms. These may have held vessels or supported roof beams. No wood survives. Roof tiles have not been found. Roofs may have been flat, made from reeds and mud. Graves lie on the edge of the settlement. Cist tombs, stone-lined boxes held human remains. Few bones remain. The seawater has dissolved organic material. The tombs face east. No grave goods were recovered, only stone slabs. No names. The town likely stood on a low peninsula. Tectonic shifts, combined with rising sea levels, submerged it gradually. There is no sign of sudden destruction, no earthquake fissures, no burn layers, no flood debris. The sea rose, the land sank, the houses filled with sand. Pavlopetri is not alone. Across the Aegean, other submerged settlements remain. At Delos, stone foundations lie below shallow water. At Methone, near the Peloponnese, stone pavements stretch beneath waves. At Platigiali, near Astikos, divers found walls and potsherds beneath silt. These sites share patterns, coastal locations, organized layouts, slow submergence. In the Gulf of Argolis, near Frankthi Cave, submerged terraces and hearths date to the Neolithic. The sea advanced several kilometers inland since 6000 BCE. Settlements once built beside fresh water now rest underwater. They have no names. No memory survives of their builders. The reasons for abandonment remain unclear. The submergence was gradual. Sea levels rose between 1 and 2 millimeters per year. Land subsidence occurred in tectonic zones. Settlements may have been used as long as possible, then left. No historical source mentions Pavlopetri. Homeric poems name cities Pylos, Mycenae, Sparta, but do not mention this coast. Later Greek authors list ports and temples. None lie here. The town was forgotten. Traces of trade appear. Pottery fragments include Minoan forms from Crete. Some cups show mainland styles. The presence of storage vessels suggests long-distance exchange. Shellfish and fish bones indicate local gathering. No coins, no weights, no written accounts. The town lacks a palace. No monumental architecture. No stelae. No walls decorated with frescoes. It was not a capital. It was not a shrine. It was a place of life, of routine, of leaving no record. In 2012, underwater excavations uncovered loom weights and grinding stones. These indicate weaving and food preparation. A clay spindle whorl lay near one building corner. It was undecorated. It fit in a closed hand. The person who used it left no mark. Divers found amphorae buried in sand. Some were upright, others tilted. Their contents are unknown. Organic traces have washed away. Residue analysis was not possible. The vessels remain sealed by silt. Stone slabs found near a central courtyard suggest a communal area, perhaps for meetings, perhaps for storage. No benches, no inscriptions, just space, defined by walls. Pavlopetri is a rare preservation. No later construction disturbed it. No modern harbour covered it. No anchor chains dragged across it. The sea moved gently. The sand settled slowly. The layout froze in place. There are no temples with steps, no altars, no columns, just low walls, submerged rooms, and drowned streets. The town was never reoccupied. The coastline changed. Marsh replaced soil. Trees did not return. Fishermen passed over it. Boats anchored nearby. The stones below were unseen. In 2016, storm surge uncovered new portions of the site. Waves moved sand from one block of rooms. Ceramic shards appeared. The pieces were catalogued, then buried again. Pavlopetri has no museum, no protective dome. It remains underwater, sometimes clear, sometimes clouded. Fish swim through doorways. Light ripples across courtyard floors. The people left no stories, no names, no myths. Only houses, only roads, only silence. The dust cities of the Silk Road. In the far west of China, the Taklamakan Desert spreads like a pale ocean. Sand dunes rise and fall for hundreds of kilometers. The wind moves grains of quartz across dried riverbeds. Beneath the sand lie cities, built from mud brick pressed by hand, now hollow and quiet. These were once stations along the Silk Road. Traders passed through. Caravans stopped. Names were spoken, then forgotten. One such site is Nia, located near the southern edge of the desert. Excavated first in 1901 by the British explorer Aurel Stein, it lies among tamarisk trees and dry river channels. What remains are the bases of wooden houses, collapsed walls, and a scatter of documents written in the Korosti script. The documents mention taxes, crops, and disputes, but the city itself left no enduring mark. Its original name may have been Jingju. It appears in Chinese records only briefly. Nia thrived between the 2nd and 4th centuries CE. Wells once drew water from a buried river. Orchards grew beside canals. The population was small, perhaps a few thousand. The buildings were made of mud, wood, and reed. The doors opened inward. Furniture was minimal. No towers, no palaces. Excavations found textiles, beads, coins from Rome, and wooden slips with ink writing. One slip records a loan of barley, another lists sheep. A few name officials. One slip ends with the words, "This must be returned," nothing else. To the north, the city of Lulan once sat at the edge of Lopnur, a now dry salt lake. It was an oasis town. Chinese records mention it as early as the 2nd century BCE. It served as a waypoint for trade between the east and west. Then it vanished. Lulan was rediscovered in 1900. Wind had buried it almost completely. What remains are sand-filled houses, the base of a beacon tower, and fragments of fabric. A woman's body was found, naturally mummified by the dry air. Her hair was braided, her feet wrapped in wool. She held nothing, no grave goods, no markers. She lay where she had fallen. The city fell silent by the 4th century CE. The reasons are not certain. The Tarim River shifted course. Water stopped flowing. Without water, the city could not survive. no one recorded the departure. Other sites such as Miran, Enda, and Dandan repeat the same pattern: fortified walls, Buddhist shrines, storage rooms, and watchtowers, then decline, then abandonment. Most were forgotten until rediscovered by foreign expeditions in the early 20th century. Locals did not visit them. The desert had swallowed them whole. Miran held a small monastery. Paintings found inside depict Buddhist figures with wide eyes and elaborate robes. The murals were preserved by sand. No one prayed there after the 5th century. The monks left. The walls cracked. The wind entered. Enda yielded wooden tablets written in Chinese, dated to the Han Dynasty. Some mention military garrisons, others issue orders. No structure survives beyond waist height. The roofs collapsed. The bricks dissolved. Dandan was a small town spread over dunes. It had houses, temples, and courtyards. Sand covered the walls unevenly. Excavators in the 1992nd found door frames and a stone grinder. Pottery was broken. No intact vessel remained. The site had been empty for 1,000 years. All these cities depended on water. When rivers shifted or aquifers failed, life stopped. The desert reclaimed the walls. Trees died. Roofs fell. Traders passed elsewhere. The Korosti script used in these regions disappeared around the 4th century. It was replaced by Chinese characters or other regional scripts. The meaning of the texts remained unread for centuries. Only fragments are now translated. The languages spoken in these cities are debated. Some documents show Saka, an Eastern Iranian tongue. Others show early forms of Tocharian. The people spoke, wrote, and traded, but they did not record histories. No chronicles, no myths, just receipts, orders, and lists. The Chinese imperial records mention some of the cities, but briefly. A single line. The people of Lulan submitted tribute. No description, no names of rulers, no mention of the town's ends. Archaeologists have found few weapons, no signs of war, no mass graves. The people seem to have left gradually. Some sites show reuse, others do not. At Nia, one house was repurposed as a granary. The door was sealed. Rats entered later. Climate records from lake sediments show periods of drying between 300 and 500 CE. Water tables fell, wells failed, drought took hold, crops failed, the desert moved in. No rebuilding followed. The Silk Road shifted routes. New paths avoided the dry towns. Merchants chose safer crossings. Camels walked elsewhere. Today, the ruins are visited rarely. Permits are required. The wind is constant. The heat rises slowly. Buildings remain chest high. Posts lean. Wood turns to powder when touched. No roofs, no shelter. At Lulan, the tower still stands, a wooden structure 10 meters high. It once held signal fires. Now it holds air. No ladder, no watchers. At Naya, some posts are marked with paint. Archaeologists tag them for study. The paint has faded. The tags are gone. In some places, footprints remain in hard crust. In others, only drifting dunes. GPS coordinates are needed to find the walls. Nothing else is visible. No cemeteries have been found with names. No tombstone. No family lines. The people buried their dead simply. Then they left. The dust cities were never rebuilt. No modern towns stand on their foundations. The wells are dry. The paths are erased. The wind holds all that is left. The stones left in the jungle canopy. In the thick forests of Southeast Asia, stone rises from the undergrowth, covered in moss, split by roots, silent beneath birdsong and monsoon clouds. In Laos, Indonesia, Cambodia, and parts of Vietnam, carved stones and raised terraces appear with no inscription, no known builder, no remembered name. Some lie far from roads. Some are wrapped in trees. Some are shaped, but say nothing. One of the most studied is the Plain of Jars, located in northern Laos. Hundreds of large stone jars, some over 2 meters tall, dot the landscape across more than 90 sites. The jars are carved from sandstone, granite, and limestone. Most weigh several tons. They have no lids. Some stand upright, others lie broken. Many are empty. The largest site, called Site 1, holds more than 300 jars. Some are cylindrical, some taper slightly, no two are identical. Local legend says they were made to ferment rice wine. Archaeology suggests burial use. Excavations at Site 1 inch 2016 found human remains, bone fragments, and teeth buried beside and inside several jars. Radiocarbon dating places the activity around 500 BCE to 500 CE. No writing accompanied the burials. No grave goods remained. Nearby, flat stones with holes in the center have been interpreted as lids or burial markers. Some are carved with shallow basins, others are plain. Many have been moved or lost. The jars are carved from single blocks. The quarry lies several kilometers away. The method of transport is unknown. No wheeled carts, no pack animals confirmed. The terrain is rugged. The paths are now overgrown. Bombing during the 20th century damaged several sites. Craters lie among the jars. Some stones are fractured. Metal fragments remain in the soil. Clearance efforts continue. Many sites are closed due to unexploded ordnance. The silence is enforced. No contemporary settlement remains near the jars. No texts describe them. No oral tradition recalls the builders by name. The people left or were absorbed. The jars stayed. Far to the south, on the island of Sulawesi in Indonesia, megalithic statues stand in a remote valley called Bada. Some resemble human figures, arms pressed to the sides, heads large and round. Others are abstract flat slabs, rounded domes. The statues are made from basalt. Some lie on their sides, others stand upright. The tallest reaches 4 meters. No date is carved. Radiocarbon samples from nearby burial sites suggest a range between 1000 BCE and 500 CE. The figures were carved using stone tools. No metal has been found in early layers. Locals refer to the statues as arca. Some say they represent ancestors. Others say they hold spirits. The original purpose is unknown. No writing. No village remains. The valley is quiet. In Cambodia, outside the well-known temples of Angkor, smaller sites lie forgotten. Near the northern border, remote laterite platforms rise from beneath the forest. Some are shaped as shrines. Others are flat. In the Preah Vihear province, a ruined sanctuary rests atop a cliff. Its name is not recorded in early Khmer texts. The walls are uncarved. Only the doorframes remain. No lintels, no inscriptions. Lichen grows along the base. Trees have pushed through cracks. The stones no longer fit together. In southern Vietnam, a site called Ok Eo was once a port of the ancient Funan kingdom. Excavations in the 1942 revealed canals, foundations, and pottery. The structures were built on raised ground, now flattened. Stone blocks with holes suggest post houses or granaries. No writing was found in the early layers. Funan appears in Chinese records. Its rulers sent tribute, but the city names are unclear. No Funanese writing survives. The buildings were made of perishable materials. Stone was used sparingly. The jungle erased what wood did not last. At sites like Vat Pho in Laos, temples were later built on earlier foundations. The earlier layers show simpler construction, smaller stones, rougher edges. These may date to pre-Khmer times. No text marks the change. The stones shifted. The jungle returned. In the island interior of Borneo, stone monoliths appear near old Dayak settlements. They are carved with faces, spirals, or abstract grooves. Some stand beside burials, others sit alone. The stone is hard sandstone. The tools used are not preserved. The carvings have no known meaning. Rain covers these places often. The forest grows quickly. Every year, roots grow deeper. Leaves fall in layers. The stone disappears slowly. Satellite imaging has revealed more foundations beneath canopy. Grid patterns, wall outlines, mounds. Some may be ancient towns. Most have not been visited. Terrain and vegetation make excavation difficult. Many lie unknown. The people who built these places used no known script. Some carved lines and shapes. None form alphabets. No prayers remain. No dedications. No names. Occasionally, beads are found, or copper fragments, or pottery with red slip. But these objects do not explain the stones. They offer no names. No signs of war, no weapons in most layers, no fire scars, no collapsed towers, just presence, then absence, no return. In some valleys, modern paths avoid the stones. Locals say nothing grows near them. Others bring offerings, rice, candles, flowers, but do not claim to understand. The builders are called the Old Ones. The meaning is left open. Rain continues, roots widen, stones lean. No records explain the statues of Sulawesi. No scripts describe the jars of Laos. No royal list includes the jungle walls. They remain as objects without story. They do not move. They do not speak. They remain. The forgotten grid beneath the North Sea. Between the British Isles and mainland Europe lies a shallow stretch of water. It is called the North Sea. Ferries pass across it. Oil rigs rise from it. Beneath the surface, fishing nets sometimes catch bones, antlers, worked flints, pieces of wood. These are the remains of a lost land called Doggerland. Doggerland once connected Britain to the continent. Between 12,000 and 8,000 BCE, it was not sea, but ground. Rivers crossed it, hills rose from it, lakes reflected sky. It was inhabited by people who left no writing. Their homes are gone, their words are gone, but fragments remain. The first evidence came not from archaeology, but from fishing. In the 20th century, trawlers working the North Sea began pulling up objects, spears carved from antler, stone tools shaped by flaking, bones of aurochs and mammoths. These were preserved in mud. Some showed signs of butchery. In the 1992nd, geologists began mapping the seabed. Using seismic data collected for oil exploration, they reconstructed ancient landforms, river channels, floodplains, elevated ridges. The land stretched from eastern England to the Netherlands, Belgium, and Denmark. It may have covered more than 100,000 square kilometers. This area held forests of birch and pine, marshes rich with birds and fish, open meadows grazed by deer and wild cattle. People hunted, people gathered. Campsites may have clustered near rivers. No buildings remain, no names were carved. Sea levels rose slowly after the last ice age. Glaciers melted, water crept inland. Doggerland narrowed, the rivers merged. Hills became islands. Around 6,200 BCE, the Storegga Slide occurred. Off the coast of Norway, a vast undersea landslide sent a tsunami across the North Sea. It struck the coasts of Doggerland. Wave heights may have reached 5 to 10 meters. Marshes were flooded. Settlements swept away. After that, the land was never the same. Sediment cores from the seabed show a sharp shift in plant pollen, from forest to salt marsh, from dry land to estuary. The area submerged. What had been walked became swum. The memory disappeared. Some call Doggerland Britain's Atlantis. But there are no temples, no palaces, no myths of a fall. Just the gradual erasure of place, a slow drowning without record. Flint tools recovered from dredging show signs of use. Some are blades, others are scrapers. Microscopic wear shows cutting of plants, processing of hides. The people used stone, they shaped bone, they carried wood, but nothing written. In 2015, a barbed antler harpoon was recovered from a trawler net. It measured 16 centimeters. One barb was broken. The piece was dated to 8,500 BCE. It was likely used to hunt fish or small game. The tip was polished. The handle is gone. No human remains have been recovered from Doggerland with certainty. A few isolated bones teeth, fragments of skull have been suggested. But the sea moves. Context is lost. The evidence is scattered. No graves are known. No burial mounds. No funerary markers. The bodies disappeared with the land. Sediment layers show preserved pollen, birch, hazel, grass. Animal bones show species once present: red deer, elk, wild boar. A single worked red deer antler, found in 1999, showed cutting marks and polish. It was shaped for use. It was dropped. It stayed buried for 9,000 years. The North Seabed holds more, but the sediment is deep. The work is difficult. Equipment is costly. Excavation is limited. Digital reconstructions of Doggerland's landscape now exist. Maps show winding rivers, forest belts, coastal marsh, but these are models. The people are still missing. In 2020, A stone structure was identified on the seabed off the Dutch coast, a line of rocks, possibly a fish trap, possibly a coincidence. Without context, the question remains. No permanent architecture has been found. No hearths, no walls, no floors, only loose tools drifting. Later, as sea levels rose further, Britain became an island. The connection ended. The memory was not passed on. No legends in Celtic, Norse, or Anglo-Saxon sources describe the loss. Modern fishing continues to disturb the seabed. Some artifacts are lost, some are preserved. Museums in the Netherlands and the UK hold small collections, displayed without names, just labels, Mesolithic tool, antler point, unidentified bone. The sea keeps the rest. No cities sank, no roads, no scripts, just settlements made of earth and wood. Washed away, the people who lived there had no word for Doggerland. That name came later. They called it nothing. They simply lived there. Now it is quiet. Underwater microphones record only low rumbles, currents, motors, fish. Sonar scans show soft outlines. They cannot show thought. They cannot show language. The land was once high ground, then marsh, then sea. The transformation took millennia. No one witnessed it all. Today, ferries cross above the sunken valleys. Planes fly overhead. On the surface, there is no sign. The grid below is invisible. The tools are mute. The bones are few. The names are gone. The city that faced the wrong way. In the southeastern hills of Zimbabwe, on a high plateau of granite, stone rises from earth. Dry stacked, uncemented, fitted with care. Walls curve with the slope. Towers reach upward. No roof remains. No written words. This is Great Zimbabwe, the largest stone settlement in sub-Saharan Africa. Its name comes from the Shona word Jimba Ja Mabwe, houses of stone, but its builders left no record. Its purpose is not fully known. The site covers nearly 720 hectares. It includes 3 major areas: the hill complex, the Great Enclosure, and the valley ruins. Each is built from granite blocks, split and shaped by fire, hammer, and time. The blocks are laid in rows, with no mortar. The largest walls are over 10 meters high. The Great Enclosure contains a narrow passage that curves inward between high stone walls. The path leads to an inner tower, solid, conical, without opening. It stands in a silence that has lasted centuries. Great Zimbabwe was occupied between the 11th and 15th centuries CE. Radiocarbon dating of organic remains places the earliest structures around 1050 CE. The city reached its peak in the 14th century, then declined. By the 16th century, it was abandoned. The population may have reached 18,000. Homes of mud and thatch surrounded the stone structures. Few traces remain. The stone walls enclosed spaces, but not roofs. The function of the enclosures is unclear. Some suggest ritual, some suggest authority. No tombs lie within. No throne has been found. The site is not aligned with cardinal directions. The Great Enclosure faces away from the rising sun. It is curved, not symmetrical. Some walls bend toward high points on the horizon. Others seem to follow the slope. The logic is unknown. No measuring tools have been found. Excavations in the 20th century revealed trade goods, glass beads from India, porcelain from China, copper ornaments, iron tools. There was gold flakes, dust and wire. The region held gold deposits. Some were mined nearby. But no mint existed. No coins were struck. Trade was in weight, not currency. No inscriptions accompany the goods. No record of transaction. No seal or stamp. Just objects placed in soil. One soapstone bird sculpture was found on the hill complex. It has curved wings, round eyes, and a hooked beak. 7 others were found later. They stand between 15 and 40 centimeters high. Each bird perches on a pillar. No writing marks them. They are stylized. They may represent royal totems. They may not. The birds say nothing. The hill complex includes narrow passages and small enclosures. Some show signs of burning, ash layers, charred wood. No explanation survives. The structures were later rebuilt. The site is not mentioned in Portuguese texts of the early 1500s, though the region is described. Traders refer to inland chiefs, cattle, and gold, but not to walls, not to towers. Oral traditions among the Shona people preserve fragments, a place of kings, a center of rule. The stories vary, the names differ. No lineage is clearly tied to the ruins. In the 19th century, European visitors speculated on its origin. Some suggested Phoenicians, others claimed Arabs, Egyptians, or Greeks. The stonework was compared to temples elsewhere. None of these claims were based on evidence. Modern archaeology confirms local origin. The granite was sourced nearby, the style matches local dry stone methods. Pottery found on site matches regional types. The culture is Bantu. The builders were ancestors of the present population, but their names are gone. Great Zimbabwe has no carvings beyond the birds, no reliefs, no statues of rulers, no stories on walls, no script. The inner tower of the great enclosure is solid. It holds no chamber, no burial, no stair. It may be symbolic or practical. No one knows. It was not destroyed. It remains intact. Outside the walls, hundreds of huts once stood. Their circular foundations remain as low rings. The soil contains fragments, pottery, bones, iron slag. Some areas show evidence of craft production, others of agriculture. Terraces mark the hills. They are faint now, worn by time. There is no sign of conquest, no weapons en masse, no defensive towers. The walls were not meant to keep invaders out. They were meant to define space, to mark presence, not to resist. The decline of Great Zimbabwe may be linked to environmental stress, deforestation, overgrazing, water sources strained, or trade routes shifting, or internal change. There is no definitive cause. The silence remains. The site was first excavated formally in the 1892. Early excavators removed artifacts without recording context. Items were lost, soil disturbed. Later teams worked more carefully, but the damage was done. Today, the ruins stand quiet. Tourists walk the paths. Signs describe what is known. Most signs end with questions. The conical tower stands unlit. No plaque explains it. The birds are in museums, some in Harare, one in Cape Town. Copies stand on site. No ruler's name survives, no flag, no signature, just granite, fitted by hand, shaped by people who did not write. They looked out at the hills, they stacked stone, they left. Time does not always carry memory. Sometimes it only carries silence. The stones remain, but their meaning is gone. The walls still stand, but the people are not coming back. No one knows the names. No one tells the stories. And so they wait, in jungles, in sand, beneath water and wind, unspoken, unmoved, unseen. We do not solve the mystery, we only listen to its quiet. Thank you for watching. If this silence moved you, subscribe for more. Join us again as we uncover what history left behind.